burning your opponent out with a Kor'kron Elite. And then you have like Control Warrior, where you just gain a lot of armor. Rattle Gore's like your bid win condition. You can copy primes, out armor people, all that stuff. And yeah, that's basically it there. And in Wild, you have like Odd Warrior to shut out aggro. Deadman's Hand Warrior is relatively popular. Go Infinite, mill people, out armor people. Pirate Warrior, good aggressive deck. You have Galakrond Bomb Warrior to counter Reno Priest. So there's a lot of warrior archetypes. Warrior's very healthy across Standard and Wild. So let's see what these new cards can do to either help these decks or create new archetypes. So first, we have Stage Dive. It's 1 mana, draw a Rush minion, corrupt to give it +2/+1. So yeah, this is reminiscent a little bit of Town Crier, which rotated to Wild pretty recently. Drawing a Rush minion's really good. And Town Crier is actually one of the most broken cards ever. It's one of the best win rates ever for playing on 1. That card's insane. Stage Dive is no Town Crier, you don't get the body, but tutoring out Rush minions is great. And the corrupt part of this card is almost least relevant. Like, yeah, giving a Rush minion a bit of attack is a nice boost. Playing this on 1 to draw your Rush minion is totally fine. And this might help be able to bring Galakrond Warrior back into the game. It basically fell off in Standard because Town Crier rotated. A big part of it is getting the tutors for your Rush minions, which are a big part of getting your invokes going, and you have Scion in there as well. So this could very well fit into like a Galakrond Warrior, bring that back, or you just play this in Control Warrior, you play this in Rage Warrior, and just run a couple Rush minions, and that's really good. I see this scene play. It's not Town Crier-esque, but it's pretty solid. I'll give it a 3. And in Wild, Galakrond Bomb Warrior could just use this. They could throw this in as more redundancy for their Scion of Ruin, for their Rush minions, but it might be a little too much. It might be a 1-of, but I'll give it a 3 for Wild as well. Just tutoring out Rush minions is really strong. And again, the corrupt part of it is almost irrelevant. But if you do get the corrupt part, that's great. You get a little bit of a boost. Next, we have Bumper cards. It's a 2 mana 1/3 Death Rattle mech with Rush. And you add 2 1/1 Riders with Rush to your hand. So you get an understated garbage low attack Rush minion and a bunch of garbage Rush minions. And yeah, no. This card's bad. I mean, there's no way this card, even with the prior card, you corrupt into this, which doesn't curve well, by the way. It doesn't really work, because you have to corrupt it. And then you play this piece of garbage that does nothing, and it's just bad. Just don't. It's bad. I'm giving this a 1 in Standard and Wild. There's nothing to talk about. It's a 2 mana 1/3 with Rush. Like, it's just awful. Even with the hand buff, like, just don't ever bother with that card. Next, we have Minefield, 2 mana spell for Warrior. Deal 5 damage randomly split among all minions. So, reminiscent of Dynamatic. That was the mech that would do that, except to non-mech minions. And yeah, I looked at this originally like, oh, that's garbage. And then I thought about, no, this is actually pretty solid. If you're playing like a Control Warrior deck, it's pretty good. You have to think about it in the lines of like Dark Skies, where it's just, you know, you're not really worried about developing your own board. You want to play the long game, that you're just clearing out like a lot of early tokens with this, and it can, you know, activate other things, like, you know, you're damaging stuff. It can activate things. It can do a lot of good stuff. I think this card can find a home in like the control-ish archetypes, just to give yourself more AoE, because, you know, you run Bladestorm and that card's not fantastic. Maybe this takes that spot, who knows. I'm gonna give this a 3. I think it pops up in some like control-ish archetypes. In Standard, in Wild, you got a lot better options, I believe. Like, obviously you can't play this in Odd Warrior. Deadman's doesn't want anything to do with this. None of the aggressive archetypes do. Don't really see it, so I'll give it a 2 in Wild. I just don't see it making the cut there. Next we have Stagehand, 2 mana 3/2 mech. Battlecry, give a random minion in your hand +1/+1. I don't know what you're doing with this in Standard or Wild. It's a 2 mana 3/2 with a bit of a hand buff. None of the current decks want to do anything with this. No new archetype's going to pop up to do anything with this. It says nothing new to Menagerie. You don't want to resummon this. It's just a whatever pack filler type of card. Premium stat, upside, it's not good enough. I'm giving it a 1 star in both Standard and Wild. Next, we have Feat of Strength. This is a 3 mana spell. Give a random taunt minion in your hand +5/+5. We've had a lot of these cards where you hand buff like taunt minions before, but this is a lot of stats. This is 3 mana +5/+5. That's better than a Blessing of Kings, and it's 3 mana. And there's a lot of good taunts, including one we're going to talk about right after this. And you can also hit like your 8 mana taunt, the mech one, and get 2 copies of that. That's at 8/11, and that's really solid. 8/11 across 2 different 8/11s. You have Armageddillo. You have some taunt support. Is that worth going for? Maybe. Is this card good enough? Maybe. Do I think it'll be good enough? No, I think it's too clunky. I think there's better stuff to do in Warrior, and for that reason I'm going to give it a 2, but I don't know. This is one where I'm not entirely sure about. And in terms of wild, you got like Quest Warrior. That's the main deck that's ever run taunt stuff, and it's a very fringe deck. So I'm going to give it a 2 because maybe you'd run it in there. But that deck's more about just spamming early taunts a lot and not playing anything like this and just getting your quest done and, you know, clicking your hero power. But I'll give it 2 for wild. You never know there as well. But this is the taunt minion I'm talking about here is Sword Eater. It's 4 mana, 2/5 pirate taunt. So that's pretty, you know, that's not bad. It's almost Senjin. Battlecry, equip a 3/2 sword. So you get a War Axe effectively. This card's pretty damn good. I don't know if you hard run it. You're definitely going to Sky Raider it a lot, but it's not bad. You curve out, you get a weapon. It's really not bad. If you're playing like a Menagerie deck, this is like the pirate to get back. It's actually pretty good. I don't know. I can't imagine this just doesn't pop up. It's a solid taunt, getting a weapon. It's just, you're not playing it Bomb Warrior, obviously. It might be just more of like an Enrage Warrior card, right? Where you just want to play something to help keep you alive, give you some board, has some high health, you can Battle Rage it, all that kind of stuff. And of course, like I said with the other spell, if you play that 3 mana spell, the 5/5 into this on turn 4, you have a 7/10 on turn 4 with the War Axe. That's incredible. It's just, I don't know how consistent you can really make that be. So I'm giving this a 3. I think Sword Eater will see play in Standard, and in Wild, you could probably justify playing this in Pirate Warrior. The only issue is you really want to play Ankar, right? And then if you have Ankar, you can't really play this. So it kind of screws with that. And now that I think about it, it probably doesn't see play Wild for that reason. You're not playing it like Bomb Warrior. Like all the Warrior decks that are aggressive are weapon-based, and you don't really want to screw with that weapon. So I'm going to give it a 2 in Wild, but maybe they get away from relying so much on Ankar. No, you don't, because that card's broken. So yeah, I'll give it a 2 in Wild. Next, we have Tint Trasher. 5 mana 5/5 dragon with Rush. It costs 1 less for each friendly minion with a unique minion type. So 5 mana 5/5 with Rush is basically good enough as it is. Like, that's basically good enough. And then if you get 1 discount, that's really good. And then anything more than that's absolutely busted. Is this good enough to play in Warrior? Like, are you going to go Menagerie? It's definitely the class that seems to have the most reason to. I don't know, maybe. I mean, this is a card that definitely makes you want to. Play this as like your only dragon. It's not bad to resummon a 5/5 dragon, right, with Rush. But that's the thing. All these minions you get back, it doesn't feel that bad to get back, but it doesn't feel that great. I don't see the Menagerie thing working for Warrior. Everything just seems too unimpactful. And if you're not going Menagerie, I just don't think you're going Tint Trasher. But I think you could still justify this in like a Control Warrior deck where you're running like Risky Skipper and stuff, and just playing that 1 pirate makes this 4 mana. So I'm on the fence. I'm going to lean towards 3, that it sees some play in Standard, and in Wild, not a chance. I'm going to give it a 2. You're not putting like an Odd Warrior or Deadman's. I don't see Menagerie stuff going at all in Wild. Way too slow, so I'll give it a 2 for Wild. So we have the Ringmaster's Baton, 2 mana 1/3 weapon, terrible attack and distribution. After hero attacks, give a mech, dragon, and pirate in your hand +1/+1. So this is like trying to really potentially pay off going Menagerie. Every swing could be +3/+3, and when you have stuff like that Rush minion, you have the pirate taunt, all that stuff going together, that can be pretty good. It just feels like such a slow payoff to like have to attack with this garbage weapon. You have to draw those cards. You have a legendary that'll help with that. I just don't know if it'll come together the way that they're intending to. It just seems too fair. It seems too honest. It seems too inefficient compared to such like crazy combos like Risky Skipper, Battle Rage, or, you know, all the cheap draw and all these other decks. It just doesn't feel 2020 broken. It feels like maybe in 2018 this would have worked out. Menagerie just historically is just too clunky and not good enough, and as a result, I'm going to give Ringmaster's Baton a 2 in Standard and a 1 in Wild, because again, this stuff is never going to fly in Wild. It's way too slow for Wild to ever see success. Next, we have Ringmaster Watson. It's a 5 mana 3/5 legendary minion. This is the thing to help try and put everything together. It's got a Battlecry drawing a mech, dragon, and pirate. And I think this card will see play. It's 5 mana, draw 3. The thing is, I don't think you're going the whole Menagerie hand buff thing, because this is 5. You're drawing those cards, and you got that 2 attack weapon that does nothing. And are you holding it to wait to draw and get these stuff up? It's way too slow, way too inefficient, way too clunky. But this card draws 3 cards. It does good stuff. You can get a Risky Skipper. You can get a 2/5 taunt. You can get a dragon with Rush. You can get the mech, which is probably like you're going to go for the 8 mana taunts, which are really good, and buff them up potentially with other stuff. Like, there is potential. This card, I think, will see play. It's pretty solid. It's Reminiscent Curator, it's cheaper, it doesn't have taunt, but I could see Warrior definitely making use of this. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. It just could work in multiple archetypes, and that draw can be really friendly. And a lot of these decks already run a lot of these cards that like will benefit from this. And in Wild, I don't see it working out, except for maybe an Odd Warrior. A lot of Odd Warrior people already run Risky Skipper or Eternium Rover, and they'll run like a dragon maybe, but even if it draws 2 cards in Odd Warrior, I think it's worth it. That deck struggles for draw. It really does. Like, you have Cold Light and you have Shield Block, and maybe Ringmaster Watley finds a place. You draw Zilliax with this, like Dynamatic. You know, I think it might be worth it. So I'll give it a 3 for Wild, just for Odd Warrior. And heck, maybe even try Dead Man's Hand Warrior, you never know. Lastly, we have ETC, the God of Metal. It's a 2-mana 1/4 legendary minion. After a friendly rush minion attacks, deal 2 damage to the enemy hero. There's all these like dreams of playing a bunch of tokens, playing Broomstick, and trading everything in and doing like 14 damage, or doing, you know, whatever. Warrior does not really struggle to deal damage at the moment, and not in clunky ways. They have like Enraged OTK Warrior, which can deal like 30 damage pretty much in a fail swoop with a very efficient Skipper Armorsmith plan. You have Bomb Warrior, which just puts bomb after bomb after bomb into your opponent's deck and killing them. And then you have Control Warrior, which just bores your opponent to death through massive boredom damage, and that's just brutal as well. I think ETC is a little too clunky. Maybe it could work as like a tempo card where you push some chip damage with some rush cards, but overall, I'm not sold on this card at all in terms of any viable win condition. It looks sick, the animation looks crazy, but I gotta give ETC a 1. I'm not sold at all. And in Wild, it's just not gonna happen there either. Even when it makes your useless microbots with Dr. Boom do something, it's still not good enough to run. So I'll give it a 1 in Wild as well. And that's the Warrior review. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. We'll be finishing off the review series on the next video with our look at the neutral set, so make sure to tune in for that. Have a great day. Stay salty, my friends.